Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Man Tracks.
Commentary on Christian life and culture from a pastor's wife.
And, that's me.
And I'm the sidekick.
And little sidekick is also here tonight. So.
Yes, it's actually been a while. I think he goes to bed pretty well lately, but tonight he just decided to rebel and stay awake. So
for his podcast in the new house, he wanted to provide the inaugural background noise.
Just so he didn't think that he wasn't here. So anyways, you might hear Asher in the background.
Squeaking and
playing loudly.
Playing with cars. So anyways, are you ready to approach the news desk this evening?
No. Before we go to the news desk,
okay.
I want to give a special shout out, and I'm going to mess up the name. I feel so bad. So this morning, we were introduced to our new church where we will be. And that was exciting. I mean, this past Sunday, got to get the illusion, right? No, but we were introduced to our new church, and there was a young lady who came up. She's a senior in college, and she said her dad is a Free Methodist pastor out in Mount Morris, who I think I have met, on Twitter. I think we've connected before. But she said he listens to the podcast. And
oh,
I thought
cool.
It was so fun. She was like, yeah, my dad listens to the podcast. And I was like, seriously? Like, we met a real life podcast listener out in the real world.
That's pretty cool.
Who is not family or friend or someone
I
we
don't
know.
publicly share that I have a podcast, so I'm sorry.
I was trying to explain. She's like, I've never listened to it, but he said it's really fun. And I was like, yeah, it's just this dumb thing. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. There's no
dumb
point.
thing just describes it pretty well, actually.
We like it. I think the people who listen like it. It's not like we're not cutting edge. We're not serious commentary. We are taking a break from all the things that have a point, and we're diving into our goofy news desk. And I think our news desk is more fun than anybody else's news desk. I'm just going to put that out there.
Oh,
we
cool.
have more fun than anyone else. All right. Are you ready to approach the news desk?
Now I am
All right.
ready.
Knowing that, I believe his name was Chad. Reverend Chad is listening. So shout out. Hi. Awesome. So excited.
He's not going to listen anymore.
I'm so embarrassed. I'll be so upset if I get the name wrong, because I'm sure I did.
All right. Well, anyways, want to hear my first story?
I do.
Okay. So this is kind of a short but gross one. So millions of dead fish wash up amid a heat wave in Australia.
It's a horrible way to describe
gross.
the sushi industry.
So this happened. Thanks. So this was yesterday. So in Canberra, Australia, there have been millions of fish washing up dead in southeastern Australia. The scientists say that the fish have started dying off because of depleted oxygen levels in the river after recent floods and hot weather.
Ugh.
So the fish are just washing up. Residents of the outback town of Menindee in New South Wales state complained of a terrible smell from the dead fish.
Yeah, gross.
Smelled so bad. One of the people who was giving their account said that he's a nature photographer, and he said, I'm worried about my health. The water in the right in the top there where the fish are comes down to our pumping station for our town. People north of there say there's cod and perch floating dead in the river everywhere.
That's disgusting. So it's just because it's hot?
So it's apparently because low oxygen levels are caused by floodwaters receding, a situation made worse by fish needing more oxygen because of the warmer weather. So there's not enough oxygen in the water because of floodwaters and the oxygen levels depleting, and so there's such an abundance of them that the oxygen was low, and then because it's hotter, they need more oxygen. So they've just been dying in large hordes, and it just sounds absolutely disgusting.
Well, and it's one of those things where it's kind of like, what do you do? You're just like, I'm going to go to the beach, and there's just dead fish everywhere. Or,
yeah, apparently.
Hey, look at our lake or river or whatever in our small town.
I remember growing up in Grand Haven, growing up along the lake shore, there were some years where there were some pretty bad, dead fish. Like the alewives would come up, and they'll be all over the shore. And smaller, they're little tiny silver fish, but they would it was a pretty natural thing. There'd be a lot of them dead along the shoreline. Okay. But it wasn't anything massive infestation. Right. It was a pretty every so often it'd be oh yeah, there's just an overabundance of this type of fish washing up on the shore. Smaller fish.
Interesting.
But nothing like this. It just sounds like there's a large amount of them. And so apparently the local police have established emergency operations to coordinate a massive cleanup because it's
what do you think they do with them? It's got to be so stinky. Anytime you've got a massive amount, I bet they just like haul it out into the ocean. Just like, take a boat full of dead fish and just go way out in the ocean, drop it off there.
It says there's no need for community concern as the initial assessment has determined that we are able to maintain water supply for fresh water to the local residents. However, they are starting to release higher quality water where possible to boost dissolved oxygen levels in the area. So they're like pumping water into areas that has a higher oxygen level so the fish don't die.
I like
it. It's a terrible smell. It's horrible. You're smelling this putrid smell, all those dead fish. Tens of thousands of fish.
This is in
found.
Australia?
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, they don't put that in the brochure.
No.
Kangaroos and dead fish. This is what they're known for.
Just sounds awful. Like if there was ever a drought or ever anything like this, like apparently it seems to be a reoccurring theme in this area.
I'm so out of touch. I didn't realize that Australia was experiencing a drought right now and flood watch. I didn't know.
I just is so I didn't realize either. They're opposite seasons of us, so I mean.
Right, that much I knew.
Yeah.
Maine motorists appeal to keep their naughty vanity license plates.
I saw this, but I didn't read the article. I was so curious. What is this about?
Okay, so in Augusta, Maine, there is a statewide crackdown on vulgar license plates. So you know that thing, you go into the DMV or whatever, and you're able, if you pay like a little bit extra, $10 or $50 or whatever, you can get a license plate that has the letters you want.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can get it to say what you want. But apparently, so it says car owners across the United States can pay an extra fee to customize license plates, sparking creativity and personality, but causing headaches for state officials who have to decide what's acceptable.
Oh.
Maine had for several years allowed people to put just about any combination of letters and numbers on their vehicle plates, including words or phrases that other states would ban.
Oh.
But the state decided to change course this year, and they recalled 274 plates that they deemed inappropriate.
Oh.
So there's the people put like gross stuff on their license plate, but some people are fighting back. Now, here's the one.
Oh dear.
I just got it. I didn't get it at first. Okay. So far, the state has rejected all the appeals, including this one, who was brought by a vegan whose license plate refers to tofu. The state concluded that the license plate could have been seen as a reference to sex instead of admiration for bean curd. Now it says LUV tofu. Love tofu.
Oh. Oh, that's not cool.
LUVTOFU.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
That's bad.
It's my protest against eating meat and animal products, says Peter Starostetke, the disappointed motorist, said after the Zoom session with a hearing examiner for the Maine Bureau of Motor Vehicles.
Wow.
Love tofu was seen as gross.
You would write it down first and look at it and be like, yeah, maybe this isn't such a good idea.
I think actually the state's valid. Now that I get it, when I first read it, I was like, who on earth would be upset about love tofu? But then when you spell it out, it's like, that means
love to.
The motorist insisted there would be no mistaking his intent because the back of his car had several tofu-related stickers.
Let's just stop right there with tofu-related stickers and let that percolate.
Heather Libby and her best friend grudgingly gave up their matching license plate that contained a word for female dog. Wow, I wonder what word that could be.
Wow.
People are so sensitive nowadays, said Libby of Jones Sport after hearing the examiner rejected her appeal. I just think it's foolish. And the state effective... Okay, honestly, though, I am very... I feel like as a culture, we used to really lock down hard on curse words, and we have swung the pendulum all the way over to... Like, there are explicit words all over people's back windows nowadays. And I've got a kid who can read, and that does drive me crazy.
It's actually...
He can totally figure... Like, tons of F-bombs and stuff. So when the state effectively ended the review process for the so-called vanity license plate in 2015, some residents obtained their plates with all manner of profanities, including F-bombs either spelled out or abbreviated. Residents in a state known for being laconic and even-tempered soon were sporting uncensored plates, pairing the F word with snow, haters. Yikes, that's awful.
Jeez.
After license plate freedoms spiraled out of control. This is why you can't have nice things.
This is wow.
The Maine legislature directed the Bureau of Motor Vehicles to reestablish the system for vetting the state's roughly 120,000 vanity license plate. New rules ban derogatory references. Also ban language that cites violence or is considered obscene. Honestly, I'm on board. You know, like, I'm okay with them censoring the license plates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's valid.
Oh my gosh. Texas also... so in 2020, a federal judge ruled California's ban on plates that were offensive to good taste and decency was overly broad and violated constitutional rights to free speech. Do you think your license plate is free speech?
I mean, I don't feel like that, but I also don't have a vanity plate, so...
Earlier this year, Texas official rejected a license plate similar to Starostecki's LV tofu, like love tofu but without the U, LV tofu, leading to a rebuke from an animal rights group. Maine's rules were narrowly crafted to pass legal muster, officials said. The Secretary of State said that motorists have the freedom to express themselves, but she said that they should do it on a bumper sticker, not on a state-issued license plate. That's valid, although I'd be okay if those bumper stickers went away too.
Yeah, we should start getting rid of bumper stickers. You have something against tofu?
Yes, there's too much tofu out there.
I'm sick of soybean.
So, like, Starostecki was offered another license plate that had become available. It could be vegan with the letter 3 instead of an E. But he decided he was done with vanity plates. He's awaiting a new license plate, a boring one randomly selected by the state.
Oh, darn. Aren't you lucky you can still drive your car?
Oh, my gosh. Right? So anyways, Maine motorists are fighting back for their ability to keep their vulgar license plate.
That's so random.
It made me laugh.
Wow.
Love tofu.
Oof. Okay, wow. Haunted Texas home filled with caskets and skeletons listed for sale at $125,000. I really feel like we missed an opportunity here, JJ.
Wait a minute.
We could have saved money and bought a skeleton-infested house.
You just say that there were skeletons in the house that was sold?
So it's not real skeletons.
Oh, what?
So there is a Erie estate located in Baird, Texas. They are willing to take $200,000 if you would like them to include the contents of the home and more. So they call it a haunted house, and they're listing it for sale. But it says this purchase may not be for the faint of heart. The 2,100 square foot 3-bedroom home for the living or dead is not what you would expect at first glance. So it looks like a normal home on the outside. It's just a regular,
just a house, just
a regular 3-bedroom home, fairly, typical.
Full of fake decorations.
It looks like a Halloween store threw up inside. Like, it's really bad. So the woman who is actually the realtor has actually helped the couple who's selling the home. She's helped them before sell a home. But she said that they have an affinity for the undead.
So wait, just to throw those numbers out again, you said it was worth $120,000, but they would accept $200,000 with all the decorations.
Yes,
there are $80,000.
They're calling it, what is it? They're calling it the haunted house under the name 13 Vultures Haunted Estate.
That's insane.
They're including all of the legal rights and all of the everything, including all of their decor for the haunted house. If you would like to purchase it for $200,000, so you can purchase the name. Yeah, it's like you're purchasing a haunted house gimmicky place with all the decor for only $80,000 more. So for $200,000, all of this can be yours in Texas.
That is the weirdest thing ever.
It's very weird. The realtor said they're actually super sweet people. They just love the thrill of Halloween. I don't know about this.
Some people are like that though. I have lots of friends. They're like, when
I mean, there are skeletons crawling on the ceiling.
Okay, yeah, no, I don't want that house.
It's just really, really tacky inside.
Okay,
like,
personal question time. Did you have a goth phase when you were in high school?
Personal question phase? I mean, I feel like it wasn't a goth phase. It was definitely an emo phase.
Okay, so you had an emo phase. Did you do like the black fingernails and like the the spiky necklace? Or
I didn't do a spiky necklace. I couldn't.
Stud belt?
I did have a studded belt.
Yes.
I did not like the spiky necklace though.
No, but
I wore a lot of eyeliner.
You wore jeans.
I did.
Ripped jeans and a black T-shirt from some
ripped
band,
jeans.
Right?
No, skinny jeans.
Okay, really? Skinny jeans? Well, skinny jeans came after high school for me. / into my present life.
After high school,
totally. High
older
school was
than
all
you.
about baggy, ripped jeans. That
Not
was
for me.
Oh, no?
I wore skinny jeans in high school.
baggy, saggy, ripped jeans. That was what was cool in high school. But anyways, the bands we went to go see, everybody had like the emo hair and the like, you know, bangs in your eyes and all that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, the scene look.
But some people never grew out of it. That's like actually who they are, and that's their personality. Most of us were like, no, I don't want to be sad and, you know, dark all the time.
And we just listen to Dashboard Confessional secretly in our closet sometimes, wondering what Chris Grabus is up to these days.
But I just think there are some people who are super into Halloween, and you know, God bless them. I think it's a
God bless them.
It's
God
weird,
bless them.
it's just different.
God bless them, and then they can live in this amazing house that has this creepy morgue scene where this man is performing surgery on like a weird old-fashioned gurney in the kitchen. That's in the kitchen.
$200,000.
Right.
Honestly, though, that's not that expensive for a house.
It's on 2 acres of land.
Whoa! Wait, where is this? Let's buy it.
That's why I said we really missed an opportunity. It's in Texas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the homeowners will consider selling the property in its entirety, including the business name, website. They have a website. Contents of the home, the house, and 2 acres of land for $200,000.
What was the name of the website again?
13 Vultures Haunted Estate.
13 Vultures Haunted Estate. This is a steal. Okay, listeners, go buy this house. You need it. It will just totally enrich your life.
Oh my gosh, it's just they have a backyard decorated with like tombstones and all sorts of stuff. It's
I have been to haunted houses. I used to really enjoy it. You know, you go for the thrill, but the idea of like those places, like mostly haunted houses are just depending
goofy,
on the
gimmicky.
level. They're goofy and gimmicky, and even the more severe ones, they're like rooms where they stage really graphic and disgusting things. I definitely don't want to own a scene like that. Like I barely
where do you
walking through it
sit?
quickly.
like, where do you go? Like you're watching TV on a Saturday night and you're like, oh shoot, that skeleton's falling down from the ceiling again. I better fix that.
If you were a homeowner somewhere else, you like lived nearby and you had a house, but you were buying it as a business, then all right, $200,000 not that crazy.
I don't want to live in that home.
No, but yeah, if you bought the house, that's fascinating. What?
Just so bizarre. So anyways,
a haunted house.
Haunted Texas home available.
I'm not gonna lie.
Jump
when
on
you
that.
told me, because we always compare notes of like whether we're gonna share the same story, right? When you told me the title, I assumed that it was like they were gonna try and convince you. Oh no, this place is actually haunted, so you should buy our house. Like I did not think it was going to
not
be
one
a
of
haunted
those
house gimmick.
Oh my goodness, it's like a cheesy. It's like the Spirit of Halloween store was like, hey, come buy this property.
Franchises.
Oh my gosh, it was just so goofy.
The haunted house business is good money.
I feel like that's not really so much a thing that people do anymore.
Maybe it's just because I'm past that phase. Like when I was in college, they seemed really popular because we were actually going to them.
I hate haunted house. I don't like being surprised. I hate being surprised.
I used to have fun. We used to have a good time.
I don't like them. So things jumping out at me, I remember going to a haunted house.
Does not seem your.
So I went to we would go. There was like a couple times in high school, our youth group would go to different places, and like I think we went like 2 or 3 different times, different places. No, we actually went to haunted houses, which is weird now that I think about it. Yeah, that's kind of horrible. But we went, and 2 of the 3 times I remember, like there were a couple of us, and we were just like, one person was like super excited about it, and the person was leading. So I was like, I'm just gonna hold there were like 3 or 4 of us in a row, and I was like, I'm gonna be in the middle. I'm gonna hold someone's hand. I'm just gonna close my eyes. You're gonna lead me through the whole thing. I don't want to see anything. I hate haunted houses.
You do things that you hate in your life.
I know. I'm kind of a pushover. I did not want to be there, but I wanted to hang out with friends, you know. So you like go and you're like get all hyped up. It's like yeah, and then I was like, I don't want to be in this place.
And I used to enjoy them. They're fun. I remember one time.
I don't like being spooked by things. It's like the element of surprise. I hate it.
See, and I get a kick out of it because I've never really taken them that seriously. They're not like.
Oh, I don't take them seriously at all either.
Yeah, like I remember one time it was my sister. I think it was a youth group thing as well because my sister was there. Like everybody was there, but she ran the wrong way, and there was like a fake guy with a chainsaw who was like chasing us, and she freaked out. She ran down the wrong way, and she ran into the wrong hallway where she was actually cornered. And so the guy was standing there, but he's a nice guy. He's just an actor, right? Paid to do this. And so she's screaming in the corner, and he's like, "Run that way!" And it was so
trying to carefully direct the child.
You know, the idea is that you scare them to run down the hallway, and then they run into the next room or whatever. But she accidentally ran the wrong way. It was so funny. I mean, it was scary for her in the moment.
I just nailed myself in the face with that microphone.
Spanish High Court backs a man's right to walk naked in the street.
What?
A man likes to walk naked in the street, and the Spanish High Court has his back.
And
Reuters.com reports in Madrid, Spanish High Court has ruled in favor of a man who was fined for walking naked through the streets of a town in a region of Valencia, and later tried he tried to attend his court hearing in the nude. In a statement, the regional high court said that it struck down an appeal against the lower court decision to annul the fines handed out to the man for being naked in the streets of, I don't know how to say it, Aldaya, Aldaia, Aldaya, a town on the outskirts of the regional capital. The court acknowledged that there is a legal vacuum in Spanish law regarding public nudity.
What?
So
That's
apparently
very different
it
than
is
America.
not illegal. Yeah, it's definitely not allowed in America. But it is allowed in certain areas of Europe, and it's like some towns they allowed nude beaches, but then it like stretches into the city sometimes. So
What?
Alejandro Colomar, he's 29 years old. He was filmed arriving to court wearing just a pair of hiking boots before being ordered to put more clothes on in order to enter the building.
Wow. So you're not going to wear anything else, but you're going to wear hiking boots?
I would imagine being naked is actually super uncomfortable because, like, you sit on something, you stand, you lean, like your skin, like clothes are there to protect you. You know?
I guess.
So that's why he's wearing shoes. Nobody wants to be barefoot out in the city. Ew.
Although Europe's cleaner than America. So.
At his trial, he argued that the fines infringed on his right to ideological freedom. Which,
wow.
Okay. So he began stripping in public in 2020 and has received more support than insults when walking around naked, although he was once threatened with a knife. I feel like the Leslie Knope moment where it's like, that's already too many times.
This is weird.
The fine doesn't make any sense. He says, they accused me of obscene exhibitionism, which according to the dictionary implies sexual intent, and that has nothing to do with what I was doing. Public nudity has been legal in Spain since 1988. And that's the year I was born. Anybody can walk naked down the street without being arrested since I came into the world.
Wow.
But some regions have introduced their own laws to regulate nudism, especially away from the beach. I feel like they passed the law to allow nude beaches, and people said, well, why do I have to stay at the beach?
Wow. I have so many questions.
So that town, the specific area that he was, has no law prohibiting nudism.
That is so bizarre.
So he limited himself to remaining or circulating naked at different times in 2 different streets. His behavior did not imply an alteration of citizen security, tranquility, or public order. So the court backs him up. So first he gets fined, and then he goes to trial. He loses. He appeals it, and the high court says, actually, he's allowed to be naked.
We'll allow it.
Pretty gross.
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't know, man. I just don't. Maybe I'm just a prude, but I just don't want to see naked people. Like,
yeah.
I
agree.
Put your clothes on. Come on. You're out in public.
Yeah.
I just.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that's weird. That's my personal opinion. It's
there you
weird.
go. That's the official Mantrek stamp of weirdness.
Oh boy.
Are you ready for Sponsor Your Life?
I am ready. Yes. So, we have recently moved into our new home, and I have been ordering a lot of things for different purposes around the house. So I would say lately, Amazon's been pretty helpful in that. A lot of last minute, oh shoot, we need this. We should grab this. Or I can't get this here. Maybe we can get it here. Oh, yep, maybe Amazon has it. So yeah.
When a store to Pat's won't, or when a run to Pat's won't do.
Yeah.
Order from Amazon.
I mean, I do like going local, and there are a lot of great places to go. But man, sometimes it's like I really need this fast, so I'm gonna just get it from Amazon. So yeah, Amazon. How about you?
Sponsoring my life lately has been Mike Young Collision. So obviously we had that car accident a couple of weeks ago. We slid into the median, totally messed up, like really badly messed up the back of our car. And we were told that it would possibly be completely totaled. And so we were really worried about that and whether we were going to have to go buy a new car or how that was all going to work. And one of the biggest stressors was that even if it was fixable, the repair was going to take a really long time. And I was stressing about, what are we going to do for a car in the meantime? Now, we have some really wonderful friends who let us borrow their cars and that kind of stuff, but we're a huge family. So I was concerned. I was like, what are we going to do? And Mike Young Collision, not only are they going to be able to fix our car, which I am so grateful. The car was not totaled and we don't have to worry about buying a new car. Yeah. They're going to fix our vehicle. It is going to take them a long time, but they gave us a loaner and it's like included in the thing. And it's a really nice car. And so it was just such a relief to like have that car stress. That really added a dimension to the whole move. Like we're moving to a new area. We had a lot going on. And to be on a loaner car and a rental and worried about that, it was like, man, what are we going to do?
It's true.
So shout out to Mike Young Collision. I mean, it's totally a gimmick, right? They give you a loaner car, but it's got their name emblazoned on the front and on the back. So it's like free advertising for them as you drive around. But hey, I'll totally advertise for your place if you give me a loaner car for a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
Super helpful.
Yeah, and considering rental costs, that was like it was
God.
A big deal. And so
yes, it was.
I'm really grateful that worked out, and I'm grateful for friends. Shout out to friends. I don't know how to describe that, but just people who are willing to help out when we need it. They were like, "Oh, if you need a car, I don't have a big car, but you can have my little car, or I can give you a ride, or I can give."
Super helpful.
It's been really cool to see people come out of the woodworks and give us support and love, and I appreciate that. And that is sponsoring my life today. Okay, so it is time for another segment that we haven't done since the early days of the podcast called Twitter Troubles or Twitter Times or Toddler Trouble. I can't remember. We threw out a lot of segments when we first started.
We did. We were much more creative back then.
Oh man. All right, so I have a small Twitter following, and we do a lot of stuff, and it's lots of interactions and stuff. But there have been two big stories circulating on Twitter recently that I have to share because I think they're fascinating. So the first one is not too much of a story. I just really appreciated it. It's a little tweet thread from a guy named Jeremy Winger, and it's right in the vein of our playlist puzzles game. Okay, so here's what he said. He put out a tweet thread. He said, Newsboys lyrics 1996 versus Newsboys lyrics 2002. And he says there's a microcosm of a shift in the CCM around 2000 when praise and worship became the most profitable game in town and creative lyricism was pureed into nebulous rah-rah spiritual jargon. And so the brilliant lyricists of the 90s were quirky and the lyrics were weird, but they were authentic and they were like really honest. But then it got blended down into sort of your run-of-the-mill generic worship stuff because right about 2000 was when the CCLI, the different licensing and copyright stuff, worship bands would get royalty checks for their worship songs getting used by churches. And if you can get thousands of churches around the country to play your song, you get a bigger royalty check than if your song is a hit on the radio. You weren't making a lot of money that way. Radio money isn't big anymore.
Sure.
So it's now you get more money through worship licensing. So bands made this intentional shift. And so he points this out. This guy's name is Jeremy Winger 179, Jeremy Collector of Parks. I don't know anything about this guy. I don't follow him. But in 1996, the Newsboys said, Isabel is a belly dancer with a kleptomaniac's restraint. Tried stealing Helena's handbasket. Made a fast getaway, but McQueen she ain't. Like, it's just this blur of bizarre ideas and cultural references. And then in 2002, Newsboys is, it is you we adore. It is you praises are for. Holy, holy is our God Almighty. Holy, holy is his name alone.
Very different song.
Yeah, and I want to be quick to say, like, no shade on the worship song. Really I love that song growing up. But that's the point, right? It used to be quirky, weird. That's what Christian bands used to do, was spit out unique, individualistic type lyrics because they were performing to a crowd, not trying to create something that people could sing as a worship song to God.
Yeah.
Here's another example. Out among the free-range sheep while the big birds sharpen their claws. For a time we stuck with the shepherd, but you wouldn't play Santa Claus. It's just, it's not, how do I say this? It's not trying to appeal to the masses, And then 2003,
Absolutely.
it's all God's children singing, glory, glory, hallelujah, he reigns, he reigns.
Yeah, there was a definite shift.
Yeah, they watered it down and they made it more generic and applicable. And it's true. Nobody sings that first song on a Sunday morning, but everybody sings the second song.
Yeah, very popular.
I appreciated that insight.
That's interesting. Yeah,
Jeremy.
for sure. All
right, the second Twitter thread, this is what I really wanted to talk about, is Eric McClanahan at InEverGlow Twitter account. I actually don't know this guy very well. I'm a recent follower. Or no, I'm not a follower. All right, wait, hang on. I am a very recent follower of his.
Nice.
So he's from Lexington, Kentucky, and he's nostalgic for CCM compilation. So he does a ton of stuff, and he posts a lot about Christian music. But he created this massive bracket, and it is such a huge thing, and I think it's so funny. It is the Christian Music Tournament, and it is massive. I don't even know if we have time to go through all of these, but he had 4 major categories. He had the Pioneers and Crossover region, then he had the Rock, Alt, and Metal region, the CCM Radio region, and the Youth Group region.
Oh, wow.
So you'll see such head-to-heads as Amy Grant versus The Choir, Kirk Franklin versus Sixpence None the Richer, Switchfoot versus Phil Keaggy, POD versus Need to Breathe, Lauren Daigle up against Keith Green.
Lauren Daigle?
Lauren Daigle versus Keith Green. The 77s versus NF, Lecrae versus Larry Norman, or Larry Norman versus Daniel Amos, who I don't recognize that. Petra, so that was the Pioneers crossover region, right? And that came down to let's do semifinals. That we have enough time for.
Yeah, I would love to hear.
Amy Grant versus Switchfoot.
Oh.
And then Keith Green versus NF, who is a rapper. His name is NF. Which bizarrely, so Keith Green. You know Keith Green, right? NF won.
Really?
NF beat Keith Green, and Switchfoot beat Amy Grant.
Okay. Amy Grant is iconic.
Yeah.
But Switchfoot, they have some good stuff.
It's true. They have put out.
It depends greatly on your following. I feel like whoever his followers are.
Switchfoot won that category, which is mind-blowing to me. Let's look at this next category. So this is the Rock, Alt, Metal category, which is very much my area, So you got Petra, which was before my time. My dad listened to Petra. I didn't listen to them. Disciple, Flyleaf, Demon Hunter, MXPX.
Demon Hunter.
Remember them? Red and Berlin. Project 86. I used to love Project 86. But they went up against Anne Boleyn, and Anne Boleyn rightly won.
Yeah, Boleyn's good.
Me Without You, Norma Jean, Under Oath, Living Sacrifice,
Norma Jean,
Striper versus Blindside, Thousand Foot Crutch versus Zao, probably Zao. I've never heard of them. I do not think that Blindside should have lost so quickly. I really like Blindside.
Yeah, you do.
So it came down to Petra versus MXPX and Me Without You up against Thousand Foot Crutch.
Oh.
Me Without You won.
Really?
And then MXPX beat Petra. MXPX. I didn't even realize they were Christian when I used to listen to them. I like their music.
MXPX beat Petra. I feel like Petra is also one of those super iconic
But they're older.
That's true.
What I'm seeing is that these categories were beat by the more recent.
Yeah. How old is this guy, and what's the demographic of his age demographic of his followers?
Because that plays to the younger.
It does. Because I'm gonna go ahead and say that their parents probably listened to Petra, heard Petra, but they probably did not, unless.
So it's MXPX versus Me Without You, and MXPX won the category.
Wow.
Which is personally thrilling. I love it, but I don't think MXPX is better than Anne Boleyn.
I don't
certainly
either.
Not better than Under Oath or Blindside.
But this is a very subjective.
So DC Talk So this is the new category, the youth group region, which is also right up my alley.
Oh man.
Okay, but you're gonna be upset about some of these matchups.
Of course I am.
So it's DC Talk, Family Force 5, Delirious, the OC Supertones, Third Day, Cutlass, Jars of Clay, Grits. Remember Grits?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Newsboys, 5 Iron Frenzy, Reliant K, Hawk Nelson, Audio Adrenaline, David Crowder Band, Hillsong United, Caveman's Call.
Why would Hillsong United and Caveman's Call be in the youth group category? Get out of there.
Yeah,
You don't belong in there.
Category. Okay, so Audio Adrenaline. So we made it to the so DC Talk beat Family Force 5.
Okay.
DC Talk beat OC Supertones.
Okay.
Third Day beat Cutlass.
Okay.
Jars of Clay beat Grits, obviously. Jars of Clay beat Third Day. I'm
really?
surprised by that. 5 Iron Frenzy beat Reliant K.
What? I hate 5 Iron Frenzy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say the word hate.
Words.
I tell my 6-year-old not to say the word hate. I tell all my kids not to say the word hate. I feel very strongly about that. But
there's ska. You have to be in
I don't like ska.
Yeah.
I don't like ska.
See?
And I had a friend that was like trying so hard to get me, aren't they so great? They're so fun. They're so much fun. And she made me listen to them.
They are very quirky.
And we're no longer friends. But really, I just don't like them. I preferred Reliant K. That's what I grew up on.
Reliant K up against Hawk Nelson. And I would say Reliant K Hawk Nelson, either of those beats 5 Iron
easily, but I still think Reliant K is better than Hawk Nelson.
I love them all.
True.
5 Iron Frenzy. See, I didn't listen to a bunch. My college roommate, Dave, he listened to them a lot. So I got into them a little bit because he was into them. But they were never my band. I always, if I was going to listen to ska, I listened to OC Supertones. That's what I liked.
Yeah, I am more familiar with OC Supertones, but
Audio A beat David Crowder, which
okay,
Audio A beat Caden's Call.
Yeah,
Audio A versus 5 Iron. 5 Iron won.
What?
And then DC Talk beat Jars of Clay, which is valid. So it was DC Talk versus 5 Iron Frenzy. And 5 Iron Frenzy won the category.
Okay, he must have a significant ska diehard followers.
Come on, DC Talk was the
who the frick still listens to ska? I mean, come on.
I bet maybe it's making a resurgence.
Gosh, I hope not.
For those who don't know, ska is like, it's like rock punk music.
Awful. Don't ever listen to it.
Trumpets and trombones and stuff.
I don't like ska.
Fun. All right, the final category I do want to go through this is the CCM radio region. Now, these are also some very, very familiar faces. Michael W. Smith, Bethel Music, Casting Crowns, For Him, Toby Mac, which is he really allowed to be on there if DC Talk was in there too?
I know. He's got 2 hands in the cookie jar.
Toby Mac, Point of Grace, Rich Mullins, Big Daddy Weave, Mercy Me, Avalon, Chris Tomlin, Matt Redman, For King and Country, Jeremy Camp, Stephen Curtis Chapman, and Hillsong Worship. Toby Mac beat Point of Grace. Rich Mullins.
Point of Grace.
I know.
Rich Mullins is a classic.
So Rich Mullins beat Toby Mac.
Okay, that's apt. That's well deserved.
That makes me think that whoever was on that one was older because
he's timeless
from a long time ago.
Rich Mullins he had some solid truths going on in his music.
Mercy Me beat Avalon.
What?
Chris Tomlin beat Mercy Me. Jeremy Camp beats. No. Jeremy Camp beat For King and Country, which I would dispute. I really like For King and Country.
I don't know. Jeremy Camp's kind of like, nah. I don't have any strong. He puts out
some good stuff. Stephen Curtis Chapman beats them all. Beat Hillsong, beat Jeremy Camp.
Stephen Curtis Chapman is also timeless.
Yeah, Stephen Curtis Chapman versus Chris Tomlin. Stephen Curtis Chapman came out on top. Which Then Michael W. Smith versus Rich Mullins. Rich Mullins came out on top.
I mean, they curated my childhood. I remember Sunday mornings, my dad, which CD were you going to listen to this morning? Is it going to be Michael W. Smith with a mullet? Is it going to be Stephen Curtis Chapman with a mullet? Is it going to be Rich Mullins with a mullet? I don't know, but some white guy with a mullet's going to be playing music in our CD player. Our boombox was booming, man.
Oh, man. That just made us sound like 1,000 years old. Mullets and boomboxes. Okay, but the mullet is coming
It was so
back.
good. Hey,
Young people are wearing the mullet unironically, and I cannot handle it.
Hey,
we agreed as a culture that was a terrible haircut, and yet it's coming back.
There was no agreement.
Apparently not. Rich Mullins came up against Stephen Curtis Chapman. Because Stephen Curtis Chapman beat Chris Tomlin.
That makes sense to me.
And then Rich Mullins beat Michael W. Smith. So Rich Mullins beat Stephen Curtis Chapman to win the category.
Oh, man.
So it's going to be Switchfoot versus MXPX. And 5 Iron Frenzy versus Rich Mullins.
Do I have to log on to Twitter just to vote on this poll?
I'm pretty sure Rich Mullins is going to destroy 5 Iron.
I hope so.
Who do you think is going to win, Switchfoot or MXPX?
Switchfoot.
I don't know. I'm shocked MXPX has done so well.
I really am too. They're a little bit more obscure.
I thought they were, but I loved them as a kid, but I didn't think that many other people listened to them.
Like I said, it's largely dependent on this person's following.
I was introduced to MXPX and Blink-182 at the same time.
Yeah,
and Green Day.
And
so I think of MXPX as like the Christian Blink-182.
Yeah,
you know,
they
like,
are.
They're punk, but they're like that only appeals to a very specific crowd.
Absolutely.
I'm in that crowd, but you know, so I do. I think Switchfoot wins, and then Rich Mullins destroys Switchfoot. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
But anyway, so that is the Christian Music Tournament.
That's great.
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning into this goofy podcast where we talk about nothing. We hope you had fun. I know we had fun making it. If you appreciate this podcast, leave us a review. 5 stars on Spotify or on Apple. You can actually type out a review. If you type out a review, we will read it on the podcast because that's what we do. And it helps boost us in the algorithm, and it helps more people take a break, you know, in that place where we go to get away from all the things at that point, which is always important to do every single week.
Thanks so much to Music Town for our theme song.
Yeah.
We appreciate that.
We definitely do. All right, you ready to send us out with the mom joke of the week?
I am.
Asher's ready.
I can't remember if I've used this one before, so if I have, please tell me. What breed of dog can jump higher than a skyscraper?
I have no idea.
Any breed of dog. Skyscrapers can't jump.
Oh. I actually really liked that one. That was clever. All right, bye.
See you everyone next week.